Is there a flood?" he cried.
"No, sir," I answered, "but there has been a fire. Get up! Do, you are quenched now. I will fetch you a candle."
"In the name of all the elves in Christendom, Jane Eyre," he demanded, "what have you done with me? You witch, sorceress, who is in the room beside you? Have you plotted to drown me?"
"I will fetch you a candle, sir, and in heaven's name get up. Somebody has plotted something. You cannot too soon find out who and what it is."
"There, I am up. But at your peril you fetch me a candle yet. Wait 2 minutes and try to get some dry garments, if there be any. Yes, here is my dressing gown. Now run."
I did run. I brought the candle which still remained in the gallery. He took it from my hand, held it up, and surveyed the bed, all blackened and scorched, the sheets drenched, the carpet round swimming in water.
"What is it? And who did it?" he asked.
I briefly related to him what had transpired, the strange laugh I had heard in the gallery, the step ascending to the 3rd story, the smoke, the smell of fire which had conducted me to his room, in what state I found matters there, and how I had deluged him with all the water I could lay hands on. He listened very gravely. His face, as I went on, expressed more concern rather than astonishment. He did not immediately speak when I had concluded. "Shall I call Mrs. Fairfax?" I asked.
"Mrs. Fairfax? No. What the deuce would you call her for? What can she do? Let her sleep unmolested."
"Then I will fetch Leah and wake John and his wife."
"Not at all. Just be still. You have a shawl on. If you are not warm enough, you may take my cloak yonder, wrap it about you, and sit down in the armchair. There. I will put it on now. Now, place your feet on the stool to keep them out of the wet. I'm going to leave you a few minutes. I shall take the candle. Remain where you are until I return. Be as still as a mouse. I must pay a visit to the 2nd story. Don't move, remember, or call anyone."
He went. I watched the light withdraw. He passed up the gallery very softly, unclosed the staircase door with as little noise as possible, shut it after him, and the last ray vanished. I was left in total darkness. I listened for some noise, but heard nothing. A very long time elapsed, and I grew weary. It was cold, in spite of the cloak, and then I did not see the use of staying, as I was not to rouse the house. I was on the point of risking Mr. Rochester's displeasure by disobeying his orders, when the light once more gleamed dimly on the gallery wall, and I heard his unshod feet treading the matting. "I hope it is he," thought I, "and not something worse." He re-entered, pale and gloomy.
"I have found it all out," said he, setting his candle down on the washstand. "It is as I thought."
"How, sir?" He made no reply, but stood with his arms folded, looking on the ground. At the end of a few minutes he inquired in a rather peculiar tone,
"I forgot whether you said you saw anything when you opened your chamber door?"
"No, sir, only the candlestick on the ground."
"But you heard a laugh. You have heard that laugh before, I should think, or something like it?"
"Yes, sir. There is a woman who sews here, called Grace Poole. She laughs in that way. She is a singular person."
"Just so. Grace Poole. You have guessed it. She is, as you say, singular. Very singular. Well, I shall reflect on that subject. Meantime, I am glad that you are the only person besides myself acquainted with the precise details of tonight's incident. You are no talking fool. Say nothing about it. I will account for tonight's state of affairs," pointing to the bed. "And now return to your own room. I shall do very well on the sofa in the library for the next of the night. It is near 4, In 2 hours, the servants will be up.
Good night then, sir, I said, departing. He seemed surprised, very inconsistently so, as he had just told me to go.
What?
He exclaimed.
Are you quitting me already? That way?
You said I might go, sir.
Not without taking leave. Not without a word or two of acknowledgement and goodwill. Not, in short, in that brief, dry fashion. What? You have saved my life. Snatched me from a horrible and excruciating death. And you walk past me as if we were mutual strangers. At least shake hands.
He held out his hand. I gave him mine. He took it first in one, then in both of his own.
You have saved my life. I have a pleasure in owing you so immense a debt. I cannot say more. Nothing else that has being would have been tolerable to me in the character of creditor for such an obligation. But you, it is different. I feel your benefits no burden, Jane.
He paused, gazed at me. Words, almost visible, trembled on his lips, but his voice was checked. Good night, sir. There is no debt, benefit, or burden, obligation in this case.
I knew, he continued, you would do me good in some way, at some time. I saw it in your eyes when I first beheld you. Their expression and smile did not... Again he stopped. Did not... He proceeded hastily. Strike delight into my very inmost heart, for so nothing. People talk of natural sympathies. I have heard of good genii. There are grains of truth in the wildest fable. My cherished preserver, good night.
Strange energy was in his voice, strange fire in his look. I'm glad I happened to be awake, I said, and then I was going.
What? You will go?
I'm cold, sir.
Cold? Yes. And standing in a pool. Go then, Jane. Go.
But he still retained my hand, and I could not free it. I bethought myself of an expedient. I think I hear Mrs. Fairfax move, sir, said I.
Well, leave me.
He relaxed his fingers, and I was gone. I regained my couch, but never thought of sleep. Till morning dawned, I was tossed on a buoyant but unquiet sea, where billows of trouble rolled under surges of joy. I thought sometimes I saw beyond its wild waters a shore, sweet as the hills of Beulah, and now and then a freshening gale, wakened by hope, bore my spirit triumphantly towards the bourne, but I could not reach it. Even in fancy, a counteracting breeze blew off land and continually drove me back. Sense would resist delirium. Judgment would warn passion. Too feverish to rest, I rose as soon as day dawned. And for the second time, for me, that is the end of chapter 15. Ugh. So if you couldn't tell in the podcast, I'm able to put both of these videos together in the podcast, but you probably heard a big stop right in the middle. The live video that I do stopped recording about 8 minutes until the end, before the end, and I didn't know, so I just kept reading. So you will get 2 parts of this if you are watching a video. You will get 1 part, but you might hear a little pause in the middle if you're listening to the podcast. Okay? My apologies for the internet. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Oh, the drama. What is happening? Is Grace Poole a devil? Why does Mr. Rochester keep her?
Why would she light Mr. Rochester's bed on fire? At least that's what Jane thinks is happening. Is that what you think is happening? I'll see you next time. Bye.